Hey everybody, Suni here. I'm a little bit early, but trying to sit here and wait for 5:15 to then punch the button and do everything just was not making me calm down. So I'm here a minute or so early, and I'll fuss with the things I have to fuss with to get things going. So how are ya? Take a minute and assess. How are you? And if your brain starts spinning off into that wild, like, oh my God place, remind yourself that right now you're okay. You're okay. You're fed, clothed or not, now that we're working at home, who knows? You're sheltered. You're loved. You're okay. Pull your attention into this moment and just savor the okay stuff. Breathe in deeply. Pause and let the air out. Hi. Welcome to Friday Happy Hour Drop-In Meditation. These meditation sessions were intended to be conducted in person at 405 Wellness in downtown Canton. But things have changed for all of us. So for now I'm here, which is I'm at home, and I'm sharing with you what I can. I'm learning though that these meditations will accomplish something I've never been able to accomplish before. Generally, I do a meditation. Let's say 4 people come who are meditators. They've worked with me for a while, but 2 new people come. So what level do I teach at? Well, I go back to the rock bottom and start so the beginners feel like they learn something. An experienced meditator can also enjoy the beginning phases. But I've realized that over the years I've never really gotten to go farther, to go deeper with a group, because we almost always have the new people. So yesterday I recorded our first one, and I covered the basics, and we'll still be in basics tonight. But I realized as we go on, we will now have the opportunity to progress. When we did the open house at 405 Wellness, God, it was 2 weeks ago. That's amazing. I met a young man whose name eludes me, but I remember him, and we were talking about meditation, and he said he really, was hoping to learn more of the deeper traditional meditation practices. And I said, hey, hopefully we'll have an opportunity to do that sometime, thinking we would do a workshop. But I think we'll build up to that here. Not that we're going to be home and not at the Wellness Center for a long, long time. But I may continue doing these videos just because it does allow us to go deeper and further and enable you to look at a library of videos and say, oh wait, she's doing that practice. Let me look into that one. So that's my teacher geeky excitement today. Briefly, yesterday, on Thursday, we touched on several things. We talked about the power of the deep breath. Meditation is intended to help you calm yourself, especially in the beginning of the practice. There are deeper reasons to meditate, but in the beginning, it's all about learning how to calm yourself. Not stop your mind, simply learn to observe your mind, and then make decisions about guiding it to better places. So yesterday we talked about the deep breath, breathing in deeply, pausing and letting the air out, and how that activates your central nervous system to let it know that it's time for rest and repose, or rest and digest mode, regardless of what's going on in your head. We practiced that a little bit. We also talked about the idea that as our mind wanders, we can pull it back to this present moment by paying attention to our breath. But for some people, paying attention to the breath isn't soothing. So we also talked about paying attention, being aware of our body, the weight of our body on the floor or on the chair that you're sitting in, and how that seat, that weight, connects you to the floor, to the foundation of the building, and deep into the planet. So for some people, it's much more soothing to think about that connection to the planet, that grounding. But a lot of that too is just pulling your attention back to the body. When our mind, if it were to choose to spin off in worry or anxiety, we can often feel like we're getting taken off with it. And then our awareness is one, not in this moment. It's usually off in what if land. So one tool to pull our attention back into this moment is being aware of our body. This is this moment. And as we talked about yesterday, keeping our attention in this moment is important because this is where you can be effective. This is where you live. And this is also where you are okay. There may be a pandemic going on, but right at this very moment, you're okay. Even if you have an illness, you have things going on with your family, whatever, but you right now in this very moment can be okay. So sometimes I've also used this touching of the fingertips to bring me back to the awareness of my body when my brain starts to spin off. Yesterday we also discussed the idea that you will develop the ability to be the observer of your mind, or the reporter, if you will. And that experience we had where we were practicing meditation, and I would offer that when you see your mind wander off, check and see what it's doing. And as an observer, you take a look at what your brain is doing without diving into the emotional gook. So you as a reporter or the observer could say, oh, I'm starting to worry again, and then gently and lovingly call your mind back. You don't have to dive into the worry with your brain. You simply need to gently call it back. So yesterday we learned about the breath. We learned about connecting with this moment as a place of safety. We learned about focusing on the weight of our seat, the weight of our body as a connection to the ground. And we talked about being the observer. So today we're going to just take those further. Meditation is a practice. 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 For any of you who are musicians or have other skills, you all know that first time out when you sat down with that guitar, it didn't sound good. But in time you learned how to work with the tools of the guitar, the strings, the neck, the frets, and you developed your abilities. Meditation's the same way. You can get instant relief with a deep breath, but thinking first to reach for that deep breath when you feel a panic coming on takes a little while to strengthen that bond. So we're going to practice today. In addition, we're going to talk a little bit more about this idea of the physical calming of the body. And the reason I want to go a little further with that is we're going to do some breathing practices. And I wanted to talk about why we're doing them. So I had told you yesterday that when you take a deep breath, it's a physiological signal to your body that it's okay to calm down, that you are safe. And you might have heard that and went, really? Yes, really. I don't know how this will work, but we're going to talk about the vagus nerve today, and they didn't want you thinking Las Vegas. Vagus, V-A-G-U-S. The vagus nerve is our wanderer. Goes from brain into a lot of our glands and endocrine system. It touches in the heart, a lot in the digestive and the intestines. Intestines have a lot to do with your emotional well-being. But I just wanted you to see this picture that the vagus nerve is everywhere and that Vegas isn't Las Vegas, V-A-G-U-S. So the vagus nerve is the true trigger of this rest and repose, rest and digest part of your nervous system. And we talked briefly yesterday, and I'll talk a bit more about the fact that in nervous, anxious, frightening situations, we are in fight or flight mode. Most people are familiar with that term, fight, flight, or freeze. And that's when your body's ready to survive. In prehistoric times, it was the saber-toothed tiger chasing us, and so all of our muscles had all of our energy. We had a very singular focus on survival, and our pulse rate was up, our blood pressure was up, our vision was very acute because we had to outrun the tiger. All the stress hormones were coursing through our body, and they help you perform at higher levels than you normally do. So in those days, you would run, outrun the tiger, because I'm an optimist, outrun the tiger, and then you could collapse on the ground because you were safe. And you took that deep breath, and your nervous system went, rest and repose mode. But today we don't outrun the tiger. There's often not really a tiger there. There's us worrying about things that could happen. So our body is having all the same reactions: stress hormones, muscle tension, raised blood pressure, raised pulse, single focus to the mind, energy pulled away from the digestive system. All that happens, and when you're anxious most of the day, you stay there in fight or flight all day with stress hormones coursing through your body, but they're serving no purpose because you aren't fighting and you're not flighting. So they're just polluting your body, and they're very hard on your health. So we want to stimulate the other side. And the vagus nerve is almost like the push button, your hidden push button to calming down. And so, as I mentioned yesterday, to activate it really is a deep breath. But we're going to talk a little bit more about some different breathing practices. Because sometimes if you're at work and you're thinking, I can't meditate, but you can breathe. You can do these breathing practices anywhere. So there's been a lot of research done on different ways to breathe that specifically stimulate the tone of the vagus nerve. And the tone means how readily will that nerve switch you back into rest and repose. How well tuned is it? How much do you use it? And using these breathing practices more help you use that more. So the simplest way is to breathe in for a count of 4 or 5, pause, and breathe out for a count of 4 or 5. So if you inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I don't want us to get in that thing where inhale with me, exhale with me, and I'm breathing at a different rate than you and you're uncomfortable. So I want you to breathe at your rate, but count in your head about a second, a count, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Breathing in for 4 or 5, and the breathing out for 4 or 5. So as I inhale, pause, and exhale. You practice a little bit, breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pausing, and then exhaling slowly, 2, 3, 4, 5. Practice again at your own rate. You'll notice it's harder to exhale slowly than it is to inhale. So try again. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you're at 5, pausing, and then exhaling when you're ready for that count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you've completed your exhale, take a quick note of how does your body feel. It may not feel so relaxed just yet because you're doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to exhale slower. It's not totally comfortable to you yet. But it's a wonderful practice to work on. If you have trouble exhaling slowly, which is very common, as I know from yoga, I've gotten in that habit of breathing in and letting it out. And that isn't a slow exhale, that's a fast exhale. So imagine you're exhaling through a McDonald's milkshake straw. So if I breathe in and then I can exhale much more slowly. So try that for a few times, breathing into your count of 4 or 5, pausing, and then try pursing your lips and breathing through that imaginary McDonald's milkshake straw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. As you practice this, and you're not going to do it all day long, I understand, but that could be part of your meditation, and it will be today as we go through a guided practice. The second breathing practice is just really additional homework onto that one, because some research has shown that it's even more powerful to breathe in for 5 and then breathe out for 6. And then keep practicing, and maybe you can breathe out for 7 by slowing the exhale. Breathing out for 8 by just controlling the exhale. Breathing out for 9, breathing out for 10. So breathing in for 5 and taking twice as long to exhale. You'll find the pursed lips very helpful in this regard, to slow that exhale down. Okay? So breathing in and breathing out, whether or not you're doing a seated practice, whether or not you're in a quiet room, that breathing you can do anytime, at your desk, when the kids are making you a little nervous, tired, anxious, anytime you're going into a big meeting, anytime you're facing something that's a little challenging. Take your mind to that breathing practice, breathing in for 5, pausing and exhaling slowly. And you'll find that your body will shift into that calmer state. So join me now for a little bit of guided meditation. Pardon me for looking at the clock. No, Siri, I was trying to find the clock. There we go. All right. As we are practicing, tradition would call us to practice in a seated manner. The reason we're seated is to, one, stay alert, not fall asleep. But 2, the idea that our energy system has a column of energy that goes up through the center of us, and we want that to be open and free. But also, if I'm seated but I'm slumped over, I'm not showing that so well with the video, but it's compressing my lung capacity. So if I'm seated where I can inhale fully, expanding ribs and belly, then exhale and stay. However, if you tell me I can't meditate sitting up, my back hurts, then lay down. Lay down on the floor, lay down on the bed, do what you need to do. But I like to meditate in this, I'm comfortable this way. You do what works for you. So find a seated position if you can. If you can close your eyes, do that. And breathe in deeply. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Pause and let that air out slowly. Breathing in and breathing out at your rate, but breathing a little more deeply than you normally would. If you can comfortably count to yourself, do that as you breathe in and breathe out. But it's not a competition, and if counting makes you anxious to perform perfectly, then let it go. Just breathing in slowly, pausing, and letting the air back out. Pulling your attention into this quiet moment we have together. I'm so grateful that you're here. I am so grateful for quiet time in the day. I'm so glad you joined me. As we breathe in and breathe out, scan your body for tension. Are your hands relaxed? Are your shoulders hanging? Is your neck tight? You can roll it a little. Roll your shoulders too if you feel tension there. Scan the skin of your face. Is it relaxed? Is the tongue loose in the bottom of your mouth? Is your belly relaxed, allowing it to expand as you breathe? Scan down through your legs, down through your arms, just checking in. And if there's tension on that next exhale, let that air out. Let that tension out with the air. And as we sit and practice for a bit, remember that as your mind wanders off, which it will, it does at least half of the time, your role here is to note what it's thinking about. And if it's thinking about anything that is not comforting, positive, happily creative, then call it back to this moment. But you are the observer when you check in with that mind. And if you learn through meditation to pay attention to your mind, you will see it wander towards worry, and you can say, uh-oh, I don't want to go there. Gently and lovingly call it back to this moment by focusing back on the breath, the cool air flowing in through your nose, the expansion of chest and belly, and the comforting feeling as you relax and let the air flow back out. As your mind wanders, just note where it goes. Oh, I'm worrying again. Not right now. Call that mind back like you'd call a small child you love. Back to this moment where I am okay. We are okay. Breathing in and breathing out. Turning your attention to the weight of your body against the floor or the chair or the bed. Realizing that whatever is supporting you is connected to the foundations of the building and the wide, vast earth below. That earth is supporting you right now and always. Savor that connection, that nurturing. So many resources come to us from the earth. And as you learn to release your tensions and worries, you can release those things down into the earth without doing her a bit of harm, because she is huge and you are an ant. She will take that energy and transform it to something good. So never hesitate to release your worries down into the earth below us. Meditating on the ground itself is very, very healthy for you, and also very easy for you then to release stresses and worries right down into the ground. So practice your breathing for a while, in and out. And if you notice your mind wandering, call it back. However, if your mind has wandered to your happy place, to a comforting, joyful memory, where you're having this beautiful, creative vision, enjoy those moments. Don't call yourself back from that. We love our mind to be in that place. Just enjoy that. We call the mind back when it begins to worry, it begins to stress, it begins to replay that weird, dumb thing we did the other day that was embarrassing, or it begins to focus on what if something negative happens. That's when you call the mind back. So sit and breathe and practice these skills for a few minutes. And if it's hard for you to keep your mind in this moment, then use the counting. 5 in, pause, 5 out. Our goal in meditation, beyond learning to wrangle our mind, is that as we sit and breathe, in time, you'll notice you don't have to count. You don't have to wrangle so much. One of my teachers used to say, you become aware of the space between the thoughts. That teacher used to say, ask yourself where your next thought is coming from, and then wait for it to come. Sometimes it's just a nanosecond before that thought is there. But with practice, my friends, you'll find those little gaps. You'll find yourself sitting and breathing, without consciously thinking or worrying about a thing. Your mind is floating, visualizing. One of my students told me one day, I'm floating in a cloud, it's pink. She could stay there all day. And as our time winds down here, I call your attention back to this room you're in, back to your body, breathing in and breathing out. If your eyes have been closed, gently flutter them back open. And see how your body feels right now. As you go through this weekend, I encourage you to use these breathing practices as you can. And I encourage you to consider making a commitment to meditation. And I know, lady, I don't need one more thing to add to my list. I understand. In traditional meditation, I would have asked you to commit to an hour in the morning and an hour at night. But this is not traditional, and these are not normal times. So I ask you to commit to 1 minute. 1 minute. Look at your calendar and see when that 1 minute could be. When you first wake up in the morning? When you first sat down with your cup of tea? Maybe driving to work? Maybe once you pull into work. Take that minute and practice breathing slowly, noting as you begin how you feel and how you feel when you're done. And as you're breathing, remind yourself you're okay. Allow yourself to remember things you're grateful for, or the people that you love. I thank you for the time you spent here with me. This video will be on Facebook forever, but it'll be up on YouTube soon also. So thanks for joining me. There's more videos on my website, Suni, S-U-N-I, Moon, M-O-O-N.net. There's a page called Resources, and on that page you'll find links to the YouTube channel and other things. So leave your comments or questions if you have them. I'll answer them after the fact because I'm not good and don't have my glasses on. I can see you're there. I'm glad you're here and joined me. I'll get back to you on Tuesday at 12:15. We'll do a short meditation for lunch, okay? Thanks so much. Remind yourself you're okay. Visualize good times, good things ahead. Take time to breathe. Take time for yourself. And I wish you a great weekend. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.